You've spent your whole life believing something about yourself that a machine just proved wrong. Every time you've touched a doorknob, signed a form, unlocked your phone with a thumb instead of a face, you were relying on one unshakable fact. No two fingerprints are alike, not even the 10 on your own hands. That's not folklore. That's the foundation forensic science has stood on for over a century. Except in January 2024, a team at Columbia Engineering ran an experiment nobody expected to work. And it didn't just work. It broke the rule.
Researchers Gabe Guo and Aniv Ray, working under their advisor Lipson, weren't trying to disprove anything. They were training an AI on a public database of over 60,000 fingerprints, mostly to see what patterns it could find on its own. Almost by accident, they asked it a strange question. Could the system tell if two prints from different fingers, say your index finger and your thumb, belong to the same person? By every rule in forensic science, the answer should have been no. Different fingers form separately in the womb. Their ridge patterns are supposed to be as unrelated as two strangers' faces.
The AI disagreed. Given a single pair of prints from different fingers, it could correctly match them to the same person about 77% of the time. And with more prints to compare, that accuracy climbed past 99%. When the team first submitted the finding, a reviewer rejected the paper outright. The comment was blunt. It is well known that every fingerprint is unique. The assumption was so old, so load-bearing, that the result looked less like data and more like a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. It was published in the journal Science Advances in 2024. So what was the AI actually seeing that a century of trained fingerprint examiners had missed?
Human forensic analysis has always focused on minutia, the tiny ridge endings and forks unique to each print. Those really do seem to be random from finger to finger. But the AI wasn't looking at minutia at all. It was reading something coarser, the overall angles and curvatures of the swirls at the center of the print, the general direction the ridges flow before they ever reach those fine details. That's the part forensic science never systematically measured because it was assumed to carry no identifying information. It turns out the family resemblance between your own fingers was hiding in plain sight the entire time, in the one feature nobody thought to check. Sit with that for a second. Every fingerprint card ever filed, every forensic match ever made, all of it was built on comparing prints one at a time, as if each one existed in isolation. Nobody was checking whether prints from a single crime scene, filed as belonging to different unidentified people, might actually belong to one.
And the AI wasn't even trying very hard. This was, by the researchers' own description, a relatively simple model, nowhere near the most advanced pattern recognition systems available today. Which raises an uncomfortable follow-up. If a modest AI, given a modest dataset, found a correlation experts had missed for 130 years, what happens when someone points a genuinely powerful system at the same question? So how many of those cases are still sitting in evidence lockers, waiting to be looked at differently?
That's the part Lipson couldn't ignore. Lipson has spent his career building AI systems that discover things humans overlook. By his own account, this discovery unsettled him enough that he pushed to get it published even after the initial rejection. His reasoning was direct. Cold cases could be revived. Prints from a single crime scene, dismissed for decades as evidence of multiple unknown suspects, could turn out to belong to just one. And on the flip side, if two prints assumed to be unconnected are quietly linked, could that same blind spot have already contributed to someone being wrongly cleared or wrongly convicted? This isn't a hypothetical. In 2004, an Oregon lawyer named Brandon Mayfield was arrested by the FBI and connected to the Madrid train bombings, largely on the strength of a fingerprint match. 4 separate examiners signed off on it. The match was wrong.
Spanish investigators had already linked the print to someone else, but it took weeks and Mayfield's public humiliation before the FBI backed down. The Department of Justice's own review later admitted that once the first examiner made the call, the others were unconsciously biased toward confirming it rather than checking it. That case wasn't about AI. It was about human confidence in a system nobody had stress tested. Now imagine that same system just failed a much larger, much quieter test, one involving the very idea that prints from the same person don't overlap in the first place. Nobody has an answer yet, This isn't a 50-year-old finding with decades of follow-up studies behind it. It's less than 2 years old. Independent labs are still trying to replicate it, still trying to work out whether the correlation holds across every population, every scanner, every edge case forensic science actually runs into in the field. And that leaves you with an uncomfortable question about your own hands. If your own 10 fingerprints aren't as independent as you were told, if there's a thread of you running underneath all 10, one an algorithm can see and a person never could, what else about your identity is quietly connected in ways nobody's built the tool to notice yet? You've spent your whole life believing something about yourself, that a machine just proved wrong. The unsettling part isn't that it was wrong. It's that it took an AI 130 years to catch what every fingerprint examiner walked past. So the next time you press your thumb to a screen, ask yourself, how sure are you really about what makes you one person instead of 10?